Welcome to the Feel Good Lab podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Gresh. Join me as we bring together the brightest minds in health and wellness, covering topics from sleep and nutrition to exercise and mindfulness. Our goal is to give you actionable advice to optimize your health and ultimately to feel good. Welcome to another episode of the Feel Good Lab podcast, and I'm here with a good buddy and somebody who's got some really cool advice to share with all of our listeners today, Eric Lunt. So Eric and I met a few years back. We were actually working at Select Physical Therapy, getting some product in, and got a cool little story to share about that in a little bit. But what makes Eric so unique is he's bringing a really interesting perspective, because not only is he working as a physical therapist and treating patients hands-on, seeing this in action and helping people recover from pain, but he's also a professional athlete and competes in professional long drive. And so he's also looking at different ways that we can optimize our performance, optimize our recovery, and optimize our wellness. So I'm excited to hear a little bit of that story as well today, Eric, and maybe you can just introduce yourself and say hi.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Ryan, here. Very excited to be here, and we've always had great conversations in the past here, so looking to continue that going on today. My name is Eric Lunt. I'm a physical therapy assistant for Select Physical Therapy. I'm going on my 9th year of the company now, so it's been a great journey so far, and I've seen things evolve over my years as a therapist too, and obviously seen different ways of treatment and products come through too. So there's obviously evolving in that door too, and also me as a professional lawn driver too. I've been doing that for about the same time I've been a therapist also, and found I qualified for the 2013 Remax World Lawn Drive Championships that some people may have heard of, may have seen on Golf Channel or ESPN back in the day, and very fortunate to qualify for one. And it's a lot harder now to qualify than it ever has been, with golfers now in general becoming more athletes and that push there, and you see guys like Bryson DeChambeau really pushing the boundaries of what a golf club can do on the tour. You take that and add several 20 extra miles per hour of ball speed and club head speed, and now you have a lawn drive athlete too. So at different levels of what the body's doing now with golf clubs. So yeah.
So before we get into chronic pain and treating patients, I would love to just spend a minute on the long drive. One of my favorite stories is we were doing a little video shoot with Eric a few months back, and he pulls out this putter from his bag, and I'm like, what's a long drive dude doing with a putter? And he proceeds to hit the ball on the TrackMan, which tracks the exact distance the ball's going. He hit the ball almost 300 yards with a stock putter. Like, how do you do that?
Had a lot of time on my hands to practice it. So you gotta have speed. You gotta have speed and good coordination, and that's just from playing multiple sports over years. And I have a putter that has legit 7,000 hits on it, and has not broken yet. It's an Odyssey putter. I like to say they make the most durable putter in golf. They've not paid me for that line yet, but maybe one of these days. But yeah, I do it, and obviously the sweet spot on a putter is very small, so it's fun. It always turns heads when I pull it out on the driving range, and when I do some of my charity outings too for golf. So it's a lot of fun.
So on the physical therapy side, Eric, what made you get into this field?
Yeah, I remember when I was 15 years old, I was playing ice hockey, and I was a goalie, and I got injured. I had a really almost like a turf toe version for hockey there too. I had a lot of tendonitis going on in my big toe, and it hurt with a lot of push off. So I had physical therapy. The therapist who worked on me, I now work for, and I saw the value in physical therapy early on in my athletic career. I'm like, wow, I got back to playing pain free, and that was huge. Like, it's. No one likes to be in pain.
Full recovery.
Full recovery back, and never had the issue again.
Love that.
Which is crazy, and it's devastating. I don't think I had no knowledge of the body back when I was 15 years old. I was just playing hockey and just assumed, like, I don't know, you just don't get hurt. You pull a groin here or there, you recover. But this was something different. It was a tendon injury and inflammation, and just wasn't going away. So, and that's devastating to a kid. You tell me you can't play sports, and also too, like when you're 15, I was playing elite hockey too. I wasn't able to play. So now the guy below me has a chance to show his stuff, and now it's a competition to get back in the net as a goalie. So to be the number one guy. So I saw the value of physical therapy early on, and I got back pretty quick.
Cool. One of the stories that I think makes you such a good person, at least for me, why I appreciate your feedback so much, is because you've always been super honest.
Yes.
And I love the fact that when we first met, you were totally skeptical.
I was.
Right? And I think that that's a cool little story to talk about. Like, I think the first thing I want to say is, for all the listeners out there, physical therapy is probably the frontline defense for treating chronic pain. I think that almost every single person we've worked with, many of them have tried physical therapy, and it is not the silver bullet. Chronic pain is so hard for some people because there's a lot of things that are going on. Absolutely. It's not just physical therapy that's always going to solve the problem, but almost every single case would benefit from physical therapy, in addition to the other things like using healthier products, supplementation, nutrition, sleep, all the other pillars of functional medicine. So exactly. I want to start off with, physical therapy is an amazing treatment option, but there's other things that we can do in the practice to help additional benefits. And so that's kind of where we come in. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing the story a little bit about how we got introduced and your first experience with the Feel Good Lab.
Yeah, of course. I remember you guys came in and with a new product, and it was not the first time someone had come in with a product before too. We think we're all right, free lunch, it's gonna be good, and sit down and listen to what you have to say. And you're always skeptical, right? As a therapist, we're very research driven in our practices too, and the last thing we do, we don't want to push an extra product on someone if it's not appropriate too. You guys were different, it's a natural pain cream versus some of the other things I've seen out there, and the last thing someone in chronic pain wants to possibly do is put another product in their cell, take another opioid, another pill. I think the consumer and the patient has gotten smarter over the years. Even if they have high pain levels, that they're smart. They know they don't want to put something in their body they don't feel comfortable doing. And I remember you guys came in and gave us some samples, and it was interesting. And it was also at the same time too, I happened to develop a different injury, a different tendon injury on my finger now. So it's ironic. It was my great toe on my left. I had the tendon injury when I was 15. It was now my ring finger on my left side too. I developed from just overuse for playing golf. So I kind of my time had kind of run out. My body had compensated enough over the years. My body was changing from when I started doing long drive at 24 years old. And anything repetitive, eventually you're gonna hit a wall if you're not doing proper maintenance and care to your body. So my grip had changed over the years. I'd watch videos, and basically my finger was so swollen I couldn't even hold a club, and a lot of pain. So when you guys came in, it was like perfect timing. I'm like, you know what? I might as well try something. I'm gonna give it a shot. And it worked. Like I said, I remember following the instructions there. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna have any. I'm gonna put my biases aside that I have about, products and other things, and give it a try. And it worked. And I actually had relief from my finger for the first time. I didn't want to cut it off. It was. I remember telling you guys that it actually felt better, and it's been great. I used a product. I still use the product to make sure I maintain what I have, and this is the best it's ever been.
Cool. Well, we're glad we can help. And with that being said, we're not the only thing that we can help. There's physical therapy, right? There's our product, but there's other things. Are you seeing any trends in the space right now? It could be on the athletic performance side. It also could be in the PT space. What else are people looking at, and what might help some people suffering from chronic pain understand what else is out there and what's coming out? Anything you're seeing?
Just in general, products aside, I think this year's really opened up a lot to the mental health world. And it's funny that you asked that question. I used to always be hesitant to have those conversations with people about mental health and offering other solutions to things. I asked someone the other day, are you seeking out counseling on the side? Because pain, I could be the best therapist in the world, right? But if someone doesn't believe in what we're doing and believe in themselves, if they're depressed, I see them for 1 hour, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. There's still 23 other hours in their day that I don't know what's going on. Like you had mentioned, if they're not getting enough sleep, how their nutrition is like. So I've seen there's more of a holistic approach. There's other things involved, and I find myself having those conversations with people saying, what's your diet like? Did you sleep well last night? And trying to get them to think like maybe, because they're so narrow-minded. You're in chronic pain. You got the blinders on.
You got to fix the solution.
You got to fix the
There's
solution.
nothing else that matters.
No, and sometimes that's just getting them to think outside their tunnel zone a little bit and say, you know what, maybe there is something else going on. Maybe I didn't sleep good last night, because no one's ever asked them those questions. And that opens up a conversation to something else. Yeah. And that could lead to an intervention, whether that's something else I do different in there, if it's a different product I try them, if it's a different taping technique, something we haven't tried. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing there's definitely a mental aspect more this year than anything.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, functional medicine is a pillar our business was built on. My father's practice. But one of the things that's, we've talked about it in the past, nutrition, all these different things. One of my biggest beliefs, and I used to be really scared to talk about this, which was the placebo effect. I was scared because sometimes we'd be called snake oil, like, oh, there's, that doesn't work. It's just the placebo. And finally, I came to the conclusion, even if it is the placebo, I don't care. We just want to help people. And what we've learned is, I believe this 100%. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. When you think nothing is going to work, I genuinely believe that nothing will work. And if you believe that there's hope and something can work, I think that the odds of it working increase. I'm not saying that just your belief in something working is going to all of a sudden give you the silver bullet. No. But that mindset and the optimism and the hopefulness, I think, makes a huge impact. And so one of the things we're trying to fight against, and this is a perfect conversation. So I say this all the time. There's 100 million people in pain in the United States, in chronic pain. 2/3 of them don't believe they will ever live another day without pain for the rest of their lives. And this quote from Confucius sums that up for us, right? That's 66 million people. A healthy man wants 10,000 things. A sick man wants one. And it puts it in perspective. Like you mentioned, the tunnel vision, huge. We need to have a lot of empathy, because as much as we're like, oh, sleep and mindfulness and nutrition, we need to meet the customer where they are. And where they are is, I can't even hear you. My pain is so severe. And it's been going on for so long that it's almost like this, fuzziness. So I really struggle with this as the owner of the Feel Good Lab, right? I want to help the patients as much as I can, but I can't really be as fully empathetic to their situation because it's so unique, and they've been dealing with this thing that I've never dealt with my whole life. Of course. And so
how can you relate?
Totally. And you deal with it even more than I, because I'm doing customer service and talking to patients on the phone, but you have hands-on and you're dealing with them. And honestly, bedside manner and how you treat people, I would bet it has a big impact on the efficacy of the treatment.
Huge. And part of that too is and that's part of conversations I've had with people this year. I say, I can't relate to what you're going through. I had to treat a woman right now who just lost her husband this past year. I say, I can't relate to you. But I said, have you thought about doing different things? And opened up a conversation that she had with me that she hadn't ever exposed to me before. Talked about the relationship she had with her husband and how their relationship had gone in his last few days. She kind of became the caregiver. So I got a better understanding of what she really went through, and I was able to have empathize with her a little bit and say, you went through a lot, and I understand now why you're coming here. And a lot of people don't want to talk about those things. It's hard.
Well, and a lot of clinicians don't want to go there either, and it makes a big impact.
It does.
And one of the things that we've noticed at your office over in Cromwell, I mean, holy cow, what a special group of people, and the care that's given there. Rachel and yourself and some of the other team members, like, you guys really, really, really care. And that, I've seen some of the success you've had and how you're growing. There's a reason. Of course. There's a reason. And the community needs it.
And that's huge too. And I know I can't help everyone, but if I help one person, if a person comes to me for PT and they leave better than when they first came in, regardless of what I did for them, even if I just listened to them, I did my job, right? So placebo, like I said, you could use that too. Like if I just listened to them and I did if I just did some hands-on stuff, some light massage to them there, and I listened to them, what their complaints were for the day, and I've had so many of those interactions, more in my last few years. It's like anything else. I wasn't like that when I started off 9 years ago. I just wanted exercise. And guess what? The feedback was not great. My people were not getting better, and they switched therapists. So I had to do some reflecting on myself. Okay, what do I need to do different? Well, it's just listen and care. And I've seen and I've heard of other clinics and companies. I won't mention any names, but some of those PT clinics are just factories. You come in, you get your heat, you get your ice, you get your ultrasound, you get all the toys, right? But no one talked to you. You just sat there and did your own thing. Like, no one checked in on you. So I'm definitely changing my approach more as I fine tune the craft like anything else, and know that what, Cromwell, Connecticut, those are my people. I need to. That's where I'm going to make a difference. And how I treat people there is huge.
Yeah, we love that. And it's one of the reasons that we're so happy to have partnered with you guys for a couple years now.
You guys have been great. So you guys treat us well, and it's been a mutual relationship. So we wouldn't still be here if we didn't like you.
So one of the things that is one of my favorite topics, and I'm really interested to get your opinion on it. It's a place that we are going. You probably see the banner behind me here. And it's CBD and cannabis and other plant-based medicines that we can use to treat conditions such as chronic pain and other conditions that people are dealing with. And we've seen a lot of evidence in the cannabis space of what the possibility is. One of the things that we want to make really clear is there is still a lot to be learned. This has been a Schedule I drug until the 2018 Farm Bill. So we do not know all that we need to know in order to utilize cannabis in the right way. But we have some amazing, super exciting products that are actually coming out of this building right here. So first, I'd just love to hear your opinion. I would imagine you're getting CBD is being talked about from customers and patients, and even maybe companies coming in to pitch you guys. What's your personal opinion on it? Yeah. And have you had any experience with it?
Of course. And it's one of those things where the market seems so saturated with it. So I haven't had a great experience with it. When you see signs, you see the neon signs at the gas station that says CBD sold here, I don't know. You get, and then you see stuff that looks like it's packaged more professionally and sold for a high price point. You don't know. I want to know I'm getting the most bang for my buck here, the most potency, and know that's going to work. And a market that doesn't seem very regulated, I don't know what I'm getting, and I've had mixed reviews with patients. Some people say, "Oh, you gotta try the gummies. You gotta do this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta.
Have you tried it?
I've had some of the gummies before, but nothing.
Didn't really do much.
No, didn't really do much. I've even had them thinking, okay, I'm gonna try my empty stomach, see if it does anything.
Yeah, would you be willing to try a little bit of ours?
I'd like to try, man. I mean, I'm willing to have a second go at it. But I gave up on it pretty early just because I didn't see it do anything.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And it's the reason why we've been careful getting into the cannabis place.
Yeah.
It's something that we see the future of wellness. Cannabis is going to have a position there. And we think that we've actually, through our partnership with the company Oneness Technologies out of the University of Connecticut Technology Incubation Program, they're bringing something to the table that we haven't seen anywhere before. And you mentioned it. You want potency, but really what you want is efficacy and bioavailability. Correct. So you don't want a crazy high potent CBD if none of it's getting absorbed in our body.
Right.
And what Oneness has unlocked is a technology that actually makes the cannabis water soluble. So typically CBD oil, cannabis, and oil is what's extracted out of the plant. Well, oil and water don't mix, and our body is mostly water, right? Our gut, the gut microbiome, there's a lot of water. And if it's not soluble in water, it has a really poor performance when it comes to getting into the body and getting into the cells and getting through the body. So we kind of wanted to wait until we could find a technology that differentiated itself and separated itself from what was out there. Yeah. And one of my favorite stories is we were actively looking for a water-soluble technology that could work with the whole cannabis plant, not just the CBD molecule, because we believe the whole plant is so much more efficacious. We think nature does a way better job than any scientist and any engineer and any pharmacist could ever do. nature is our best teacher. And so when we use the whole plant, there's a lot of studies out there that show that there's an increased efficacy around CBD when you use the other cannabinoids, the THC, the CBN, the CBG. And now the THC level's at such a low dose that you don't get any psychoactive effect, but there's an entourage effect. And they're showing studies that it's a game-changing difference when you use the whole plant. But a lot of people can use the whole plant. How do we take that plant and make it bioavailable?
Right.
So this technology, I had a Google alert for over a year looking for full spectrum water soluble CBD, and nobody could do it. And showing up at this door at a Christmas party, somebody calls me over and says, "You got to come and meet Alex and Neha. They've developed a full spectrum water soluble cannabis technology." And I said, "No way.
Where's my alert?
Where's my alert?" I really couldn't believe it. And sure enough,
That would have been funny if it went off at the party.
yeah, right. So, here we have, and this is kind of what we've developed together. We grew this cannabis ourselves here under a state license in Connecticut because we wanted to go seed to sale. Real good quality control. Cannabis and hemp is a really interesting plant because it's often used in remediation. So you get some oil spills. It sucks so much up from the soil that it's great at using it in those environments to kind of clean things up. But you need to be really careful as a consumer. If your cannabis isn't grown in a safe area that looks at some of these toxins and heavy metals and pesticides, it gets sucked up into the plant.
That's true.
And so because of that reason, we want to control seed to sale. And then from that, we actually found that we could control certain attributes to get a better yield and a better product. So higher levels of CBG.
Because it's being absorbed. So you're like, okay, if I put better stuff in the soil, well, it's going to have a...
And one of our favorite things is you need so much less. So I'm going to give you about 5 milligrams here. It's like a full dropper, which is about 2. And what you'll notice is it dissolves. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to take some as well.
Sure.
Cheers on it.
Cheers.
There we go.
What class of UConn did you say? Class
2009.
2009, nice.
That's when I graduated. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Hopefully you make it the rest of the podcast.
I know. So that's my first time trying this. And I remember a couple years ago, like you had a vision of getting into the CBD market, and I think that's what makes you guys reputable too. Like you didn't just pump out a product just to pump out a product. You know what I mean? Like you kind of said it in yourself, and I was thinking of that when you're talking about it. Like you waited for an opportunity. Like you wait to do it. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it right. Like that's always been your model for anything that you attack. You want to do it right. You're gonna go 100% into it. And if it's not available, well, you're gonna wait. You're patient. You waited patiently, and now here we are.
Yeah, we are so excited. I mean, this is gonna be launching here in about a month. So we're like, these prototypes are getting passed out. We got some customers at the pharmacy that are using them, and we're getting some feedback. Ethan, our intern, is a great example. He got some to his grandpa, he tried all these different CBDs, and he's a little bit older, and he uses them mostly to sleep. He has some trouble sleeping. And Ethan won't stop asking me for more because his grandpa had such a great experience. And these are anecdotal. This doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. But we're getting feedback from customers with the prototypes that typically people that didn't have a response to CBD that are just head over heels because this is the first CBD that they're actually getting a sensation from and a feeling and an efficacy from. The beautiful part is it's at such a low dose. So, a lot of people take 500 milligrams of CBD and don't feel anything.
Right.
I just gave you 5 milligrams. And,
But if it's getting absorbed properly,
correct.
You don't need it.
And we have, it's not like we just sit here and talk about increased bioavailability and absorption. We've actually done the studies. So Oneness, the cool thing about them is we're a consumer products company. So we are here to get this to the customer, to educate them, to bring the best value to the customer we can. Oneness is a pharmaceutical company. They're doing some game-changing pharmaceutical research because they see the real benefits, like through the FDA, that we can bring through cannabis and other plant-based medicines by unlocking them with their technology.
That's crazy.
And so they've got this tagline, harmonized by Oneness. And what that means to them is, it's not just the CBD, just the CBG, just the Feel Good Lab cream, right, when we mix it with our topicals.
Right. It's
this harmonization process of everything working together in flow. And that's what their technology does. It allows everything to work together. In our creams and lotions are mostly water. I don't know if people know that. That's on purpose. That water helps enhance the penetration. It's very important. Well, if you don't have a water-soluble version of CBD, in your cream or lotion, very likely it's not mixing. Almost definitely it's not mixing into that mostly water formulation. And so you're going to have a really poor bioavailability even topically. So, this is going to be game changing for us across the board, not just in the oral tinctures, but as we get into other supplements, right? Think of turmeric as a great supplement. Many people, probably a lot of your patients, take turmeric as an anti-inflammatory. One of the difficulties with turmeric is it's poorly bioavailable because it clumps up and it's not water soluble, and so it doesn't absorb through the gut. And so if we can use this technology and improve the bioavailability of not just cannabis, but other supplements, other wellness supplements that people are using to fight inflammation, oxidative stress, and inevitably help fight their chronic pain, that's kind of where the Feel Good Lab fits in.
I was going to say, it doesn't just stop at the cannabis plant. Like, what else can you unlock?
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's almost seems like the brain, right? How much do we not know about the brain, How much do we not know about other products out there that could be helping someone? You unlock it, so it's funny you bring up turmeric. I was always told that if you just get the regular one, it does nothing. You have to get the curcumin one that actually have it do something inflammatory to you and have it in your system for a period of time. You can't just take it once and be done. It has to be in your system. So that to me was my first exposure to like a bioavailability. Like I can't just buy the regular one. I need to buy the one that has curcumin in it.
Yeah, you're totally right. So we're in the middle of working on a turmeric supplement, and actually we have a decision to make. And it's funny that you brought this up about our process because we don't want to just bring a turmeric to the market. We want to bring the best turmeric to the market with the highest bioavailability, but with the most research and credibility behind it. And there are basically 3 out there right now that we're looking at. There's 95, almost all of them focus on the curcuminoids, like you mentioned. So the curcuminoids are the portion of turmeric that have been studied to show those anti-inflammatory properties. But there's other portions of turmeric that are very helpful as well. Some of them help increase the absorption. Some of them do other things. And so we found a product out there that uses the different parts of the turmeric in order to enhance the bioavailability. There's nothing else in there except for turmeric. It's just that they specifically choose the curcuminoids, some of the lipids, and other areas of it. And so we're working with them right now to see if we can partner with them and bring that technology into our turmeric supplements.
That's awesome because inflammation is such a huge factor in pain also. Decrease inflammation or decrease pain also. So it's just another. I'm glad you brought it up. So that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. And so speaking of inflammation, right? A lot of the things that you guys do in practice focus on inflammation. Yeah. How do you look at it from a treatment perspective when somebody comes in with, say, arthritis in their knees?
Of course. So eventually we're all gloom and doom to have arthritis. You can't stop the process there, but you could look at, say, hey, like what else are you doing that's causing you to beat up that joint? What can you modify? What can you strengthen around it that's to make other supporting structures? Look at some tendonitis in their shoulder or whatnot. You strengthen up muscles around the rotator cuff. You look at your shoulder blade. So tendonitis is tough because it's if they don't modify their activity for a little while, and most people don't want to do it. It's tough for people who have a job that's repetitive. So how do you modify in conjunction? If you have a product to give them too, that's why we do some medicated patch, iontophoresis. There's ultrasound isn't as readily used as it once was, but it's something that was used before in the past with a phonophoresis with an anti-inflammatory gel. But yeah, inflammation's tough.
What about dry needling? Is there I don't know a ton about it except for I've done it and I really enjoyed it. But is there an inflammation related piece?
Yeah, so Rachel does the dry needling. I'm not certified to do it, but anytime the muscle's inflamed, that's when you get those knots with spasm. It's inflammation of the muscle.
Yep.
You could get right to the root cause of it and decrease that spasm. You're just it's like a clogged drain. That's essentially what the dry needling's doing. It's unclogging, it's breaking up that muscle spasm, which may have been there for a while. It's like a knot in a rope that you just can't get out of your hands, right? You need to use some instrument to break it up, and i.e. the dry needle is getting to that source. You can knead it, you could grasp in it, you could cup it, all great techniques. But if someone's really got a deep rooted knot and spasm, nothing else is gonna touch it. Even with proper exercise correction too, so it's one of those other tools that we have, so we're always looking to have more tools in our tool belt as therapists too, and also grow as a profession if it's certain products too, pain and anti-inflammatory. If we could help, if we have products that we know if they're using the right situation, we could give the patients, then we're on board.
Cool. Well, we're coming up on our half-hour mark. We try to keep these nice and short and
Yeah.
sweet. Actually, before we end it off, how do you like the CBD? How's it taste?
It's really good, actually. It mixed very well. It's got a nice little. It's not overpowering. It's got like a little. The plant. I could taste the plant a little bit, but
Yep.
it's not. It doesn't like reek of it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
got
the
a nice
point,
subtle.
right? We want it to be medicinal, so we want you to still be able to taste the plant.
Of course.
But just mask it enough with a little bit of lemon mint flavor in, so you kind of,
perfect.
taste good.
It's got a nice flavor to it. Mixed very well.
Cool. So, the whole point of this podcast is to really help people and try to take, your world especially, right, is so complex and the level that you're educated in is like really detailed into the the body and all these different complex things. How do we kind of let people at home, what's a takeaway that we can give them? And honestly, it might be even about mental health and whatnot. You can take it any direction you want, but we want to provide people with things that they can actually do at home, things they can change in their life today that can make an impact to their chronic pain.
Right. Evaluate your day. Write down. Do a journal. Seriously, journal what you do throughout the day. If you're having pain, whatever it is, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a construction worker, if you have a desk job, right? Seriously, break down your hours of your day, your 24 hours. How much sleep did you get, and log it for a week, and see if there's anything that you're doing that could be modified, that you say, hey, you know what, maybe that's related, that could be somewhat related to the pain I have going on. That's the biggest thing. It just gets people out of that tunnel vision and lets them just see on paper what their day looks like, an evaluation too, and then you could follow it up with a nutrition log or something there too. I mean, that's and keep a pain journal too. That's essentially what you're doing, and
Right.
and that would be my take home. Evaluate your day, keep a pain journal. When is your pain? Do you have more in the morning, midday, and night? All of us do such a poor job of self-evaluating because we're just too busy, or we say we don't have time to do it.
Right.
Well, why do people fail their goals, like their New Year's resolutions? Because if you try to go to the gym for a while, you're good for a month, but guess what? If you haven't alternated, or if you haven't taken out an activity, if you haven't replaced that with something else, well, eventually now you're not going to have time for the gym. It works for a little while. So that'd be my take home. Do a pain journal, evaluate yourself for a week, plug in all the hours of your day, and see what actually you're doing activity-wise, and see if there's a correlation between that and some of your pain.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Eric. How can people find you?
SelectPhysicalTherapy.com. I'm in the Cromwell, Connecticut office. If you Google Select Physical Therapy Cromwell, you'll find me. I'm also a certified golf fitness instructor, so if you want to add a few extra yards to your swing, I can do that also.
I would like that, so maybe I'll take you up on that.
Love to have it.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.